It's about giving pleasure while taking pleasure, right? That's what I'm talking about. Ravishment. Ravishment is not about banging her cervix repeatedly until she's sore for a week. Like, that's not ravishment. All right, that's hurting her. She's not going to be like, oh my God, I love my boyfriend after that. She's going to be like, ow, you hurt me. I don't want to do that again. You want to build trust, build more trust, stay attuned, and then be authentic about your desires.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
There's no shame in wanting to last a little longer. And Promescent's Delay Spray gives you confidence to enjoy the experience without worrying about blowing your load. Get 15% off at Promescent.com with code MW15. That's MW15 at PROMESCENT.com. The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by Alt Playground. APG is more than just a place to find couples to swap with. Alt Playground is a lifestyle community for all non-monogamous and sexually adventurous people to connect and share. And I started a profile. Join me over at altplayground.net. That's altplayground.net. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
Shout out to all the conscious cocks and patient pussies. This is Billy Procida, and you are listening to the Man Whore Podcast. Hey, welcome to the show if you're new. Welcome back if you're not. This week on the pod, I have got on Kristopher Lovestone. He's the author of the new book, Conscious Cock, The Empowered Sexuality Manual for Men. It's a very manly episode. A lot of men talking to other men about being better men in bed type of discourse for you momentarily. But first, I want to make sure you all remember that Man Whore Con is coming up, people. It is fast approaching. It's 3 months away, August 12th through 14th. And you can still reserve a room. We only have 5 rooms left as of the time I'm recording this. Any past Man Whore Con attendees or current Patreon members, you may want to perk your ears up because you have an exclusive booking window that ends this Saturday, May 17th, before I open it up to the waiting list and then, the general public. So if you want more information on Man Whore Con, check out the link in the show notes for that presentation. If you want to get on the waiting list or reserve a room, go ahead and shoot me an email ASAP. Again, there's only 5 rooms left. I'm so hyped. Man Whore Con, it's coming back. And all the hugs and cuddles. Before I get to my guest this week, I just want to read a quick little email question I got in from Kay. Kay writes, hi, just found your podcast. Totally into it. I work nights, so it's my drive to work, drive home new favorite. Question, how does one go about finding sex-positive, non-creepy, and discreet sex parties? I am leery of some online platforms with signups and etc. So do you have any suggestions to find similar like-minded folks interested in similar like-minded things in smaller centers or nearby larger cities? Just asking for a friend in Ontario, Canada. K. Well, I can't say I know much about the Canadian sex party scene. And as we are opening up, yes, I know a lot of us are waiting to go back to sex parties, or we've decided during lockdown, you know what, I'm doing it. I'm pulling the trigger. I'm going to an orgy, something along those lines. We're looking for them, and people need to know where to go. It sounds like what you're looking for, this non-creepy, discreet, but sex-positive sex party vibe, as opposed to, say, more of a swingery vibe. Sounds a lot like Hacienda, something I go to here in Brooklyn. Consent-driven, super sexy, members and friends only, right? Which is a really big one because now okay, there's a control group of the members, and the only people who get to go are people invited by the members, and the members have to, vouch for those people, and if those people fuck up at the party, the member who referred them has to now have a talking to. So I know I am particularly careful about who I invite to a hacienda party, and I think that's great, as opposed to these parties or these sex clubs that are really more of a business So yeah, they're posting these places online. Yeah, you could go. Yeah, you might have a great time, but there's not as much of a vetting going on with the attendees. So I would try to find them. I would try to find this type of a scene, this type of a party that you're looking for in particular. You try to find them through other communities that are a little easier to find and that throw like these non-sexual events you could go to. So if you're into BDSM, go to a munch and meet people. A munch, if you don't know, is like a non-sexual. It's kind of like a meet and greet. It'll be at a bar or like a TGI Fridays or something. I just talk to folks because like they know, the kinky people know where the sex parties are. Of course, they know where the kink parties are, but a lot of them will also know where non-kink play parties are. If you're non-monogamous, find the local poly scene and meet people. Here in New York City, there's like a regular poly meetup that's been going on for many years. And through that, you end up meeting people who go to play parties. And then if you meet them and you vibe with them and you become friends with them, they might invite you to said play party because they might be willing to vouch for you because they've gotten to know you. Find an adult sex ed workshop run by like the local feminist-owned sex toy shop in your neck of the woods. Okay. And meet people. The big part here is meet people. Let them get to know you, not as someone hitting on them, but as a like-minded individual who just like is excited and is here and like would love to know where to go next. Because you know what, someone at that workshop, or probably most likely the instructor, knows where the cool kid, sex-positive, queer-inclusive play parties are at. And also look out for like that keyword, play party versus sex party. There's really no difference in definition, but play party is kind of like a sex positive code word to know the vibe is less swingery or creepy or for profit or whatever. If they call themselves a sex party, you might want to ask some more questions. But the major city near you most certainly has something like this. It's just about finding it. And like I said, as opposed to sex parties, because here's the thing, the way the internet is set up is like, if you Google and search sex parties, these for-profit ventures who are trying to make money and therefore doing marketing are probably going to come up in your earliest searches. You're probably not going to find the play party by searching play party or sex positive sex party plus whatever city you're near. But like I said, it's easier to find a munch. It's easier to find a poly meetup. It's easier to find an adult sex ed workshop. And then those types of people probably go to the play parties, or some of the people at those things probably go to the play parties. And if you become friends with them, you will likely eventually get invited to a sex party, so long as you have put that out into the ether. So yeah, that's how I would attack it. You can tell your friend that that's what she should do, Kay. And I wish you luck on your adventure. Good, happy hunting out there. Okay? And I'm glad you found the podcast. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're not a stranger. If you find a play party and you do get to experience one, I would love to hear how that went down. I'm sure we all would. Yeah. Someone on OnlyFans, one of my big regulars, sent me like a nice tip the other day and said, "Hey, I just want to say, because I don't know if people say it enough, between the boy-girl content, glory hole videos, solo videos, amazing DMs, and your smooth, dulcet tones, you honestly have got probably one of the best OnlyFans feeds out here. And it is a very competitive market." So shout out to Matt for that message on the OnlyFans. Thank you for the tip and the incredibly kind words. No, people do not say it enough, but folks, the reviews are in the OnlyFans. It's hot and it's popping and locking, and it's free to follow. It's free to come say, hey, it's an incredibly appropriate place to shoot your shot. Come on by and follow me at onlyfans.com/callmebilly. And of course, if you have questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, you want to send any and all of that in to the show, you can shoot me an email at manwhorepod@gmail.com. And by the way, if you want to connect with like-minded people, if you want to potentially discover a play party in your neck of the woods, might I recommend you get into the Champagne Room. Yes, it is our free sex-positive Discord server. I know I said the word Discord. I know that word sounds scary. I promise it's not as scary as it sounds, because I was also scared by the word Discord. until I tried Discord, and now I wonder why I haven't been on Discord for years. Join us in the champagne room. Make some new friends. Connect with us at manwhorepod.com/Discord. You might even meet someone like this in there, the focus of our fan whore appreciation moment. I want to give a shout out to Jeff Davies for being a badass, awesome individual. What's up? We're all out here just trying to do the right thing. You know who's doing the right thing? Jeff fucking Davies. And you know why? Because he's a member of the fan whore community on Patreon, supporting this little whore boy with a heart of gold in Bushwick. So thank you very much, Jeff Davies, for your support. And you too can become a member and receive a slew of great rewards and get the satisfaction of knowing like Billy's not going to have to panhandle anytime too soon. Head on over to patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Podcast. Again, become a member today. Support the show you love at Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Hey, you don't like Patreon? You just like to throw money at people on Venmo and Cash App and shit? Hey, all that's in my in the show notes. Most of the stuff you need to reach out to me is in the show notes. Folks, I got an interesting guest for you this week, Kristopher Lovestone. He's got a new book out called Conscious Cock. It's a sexuality manual for men trying to do better in bed, men trying to be a little more conscious in bed, men just trying to do their goddamn best in bed. I mean, we talk about the nice guy syndrome. We talk about men talking to other men about the man stuff. We talk about just how to be, more in tune with your lover. This is a fun one. I gotta say, I'm excited that I'm phasing out these Zoom recordings, these virtual recordings. I'm not recording with anyone virtually who is within driving distance. I'm over that, but I am still recording with a few people who are not around here, and Kristopher is down in Costa Rica, so we let him in. We did about 45 minutes or so, and then Con Edison shut the power off to my entire building for like 10 minutes. We popped back on. We were able to salvage and keep going or get back into it. But most of the first conversation is actually coming out tomorrow as a bonus episode on Patreon. So you're getting plenty of show here for free. And if you want to get like another half hour or so with me and Kristopher, you can become a member and gain access to over 200 bonus episodes. Again, at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. But for now, enjoy my chat with Kristopher Lovestone. I've got my first post-core threesome scheduled. Do you? Our sponsor, altplayground.net, is the perfect place to go to set up your next vaccinated, non-monogamous adventure. APG, we love our friends at APG. Alt Playground is a members-only lifestyle hub that connects like-minded people all over the United States. Sorry, Canada, gotta wait for the border to reopen to join our orgies. Hey, you know this already. So many lifestyle sites are just filled with bots and flakes and people who aren't serious about actually playing. APG's quality control eliminates all the riffraff. You know you're talking to people who actually want to meet up for a good time. So what are you waiting for? Become a member today at altplayground.net and get ready for that hot, vaxxed summer. Again, that's altplayground, altplayground.net. The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by Promescent. No, that's not the word to use for a woman who can tell your future. Promescent is a sexual wellness company with a full line of premium products to help you boost your bedroom fun. Their flagship product, the Delay Spray, is a product that helps a dick haver maintain their erection for longer. And it's officially recommended by 2,000 healthcare professionals. We all promise this will not make your dick fall off. And it really does work. I've used it myself. I mean, don't use too much. You'll forget that your dick is attached to your body. But their patented technology lets you retain next to normal sensitivity for a longer than normal amount of time. Plus, if it doesn't work for you, they offer a no-hassle 60-day money-back guarantee. It's a guarantee, folks. Seriously, try this spray and use promo code MW1515 for 15% off any of their premium sexual health products at promescent.com. Or just click the link in the show notes. Again, that's code MW15 at PROMESCENT.com. Stop watching low-quality ripoffs of high-quality porn on free tube sites. What are you doing? You deserve to watch porn in HD that doesn't stick to just one theme or one porn category or revolve around one body type. You're into way too many things to afford memberships to all of those sites to get everything you need. So hotmovies.com, hey, we got there, offers a solution with their new Select Unlimited subscription service that gets you access to hundreds of thousands of clips carefully curated for your experience. Get unlimited playbacks on all those movies with all your favorite porn stars from all your favorite porn studios, doing all of your favorite crazy porn shit. Gay, straight, kinky, female directed, whatever, hotmovies.com has plenty of porn to get you off. One thing I have fun doing is searching up my IRL porn friends on Hot Movies, and then I like to watch some of the clips, and then I like to text them compliments about the production. Like, hey, yo, Sophia, you really nailed that Midwestern accent in the hand job scene. Great job. Acting lessons are really paying off. Or like, hey, Amelia, who did the set production? I really enjoyed the pink motif going on. Visit hotmovies.com, select Unlimited to try their new subscription service, and use promo code MANWHORE for a special bonus, and so they know who sent you. Now let's get to the show. Conscious cock. It does stand out, like, you know, when a publicist sends like an email and it's got conscious cock in all caps, you know, you do open the email.
Hey.
I'm like, I don't always love the publicist emails, but I will open this one. I'm very curious. But I'm glad she reached out to connect us, man. It seems like we have some like-minded thoughts on masculinity and the boy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't know why. You live in South America or Central America?
I'm in Costa Rica. Left the States about 10 years ago and ended up down here. So I'm an expat, but I was in New York and Miami.
Okay. How are you holding up in Costa Rica?
Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here.
Hasn't really made the news very much back home.
I mean, it's eternal summer. Don't need air conditioning or heating. Like, it's really not a high COVID impact here. We still have a lot of personal freedoms and liberties. Like, we can go to the beach, we can hang out, we can do a yoga class, like you can have a dance. Like, you know, you can't have huge gatherings. Of
What's
course,
like the population of Costa Rica?
I don't know, 5 million or something.
Well, it's like
in the
smaller than
boonies.
New York.
Right. I'm out like in this rural area, and it's just so lovely. It's so peaceful. 20 minutes to the ocean, but I'm in the mountains where it's cooler, not so hot.
And with
Anyway,
COVID, it's like there's 12 people in my village. Like, how about no outsiders for a while, but otherwise we're good.
Yeah, you know, it's exactly like that. So we get to just have a more peaceful life, like in our bodies, not so much fear. Like, the cops are friends here. I'm never afraid when I see one in my rearview mirror. There's just so much peace.
I mean, I don't think you would be afraid of a cop in your rearview mirror in the States either. We are.
You know, I'm just driving along, doing my own thing, looking rearview mirror, totally under the speed limit, within the lines, and I still pucker up in the States. Like, just having it's just this kind of predatory vision that a lot of police officers have, that you're either a victim or you're an assailant, like one or the other. Like, there's no standbys.
There haven't been like lockdowns on, like, you haven't been at home stuck with your wife and then finding out like, oh shit. Because I feel like a lot of people are having the realization of like, oh fuck. Like, if I have to spend this much time with you, all of a sudden this relationship isn't such a great idea.
I know, they couldn't survive without their exits, right? Like, we need our time away from our spouse, the pressure cooker of it. Most people can't handle that pressure cooker. Personally, we were fine. Like, we were sailors. We lived on a sailboat cruising. It's kind of like being in the space station, like a little tin can. You can't get out of it, you know, 24 hours a day with each other. But we're really good like that. But a lot of people, their relationships are just breaking because they can't handle the pressure. They can't handle the fact that there's no exit from their spouse every day, all day long, you know?
Yeah.
Man, it's a hard time for people in relationship.
I mean, you do coaching, right? I know I have to be careful with like which word, with which certificate. So sometimes people will be like, no, you can't call me a this. You got to call me a that.
No, I'm an educator. I'm a teacher and a counselor. I don't do coaching anymore. Okay. I've done tons of men's groups over the years. I've led so many men's groups.
So you were like leading men's groups, but not necessarily doing like one-on-one coaching?
Right. I've done a bit of it, but Like I like to reach more people than I can just one-on-one.
Is this the Brotherhood that I see on your website, or is that something
Yeah,
else?
right. Exactly.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about what that was?
Well, basically, I've just been doing men's circles for over 20 years.
Mhm.
And like I've got a specific way that I lead men's circles where we talk about sex. We talk about our girlfriends and our wives. Like a lot of men's circles are about, we talk about our mom and we talk about our dad. But I like to create a safe space where we can talk about the stuff that we normally don't get to talk about. In terms of sexuality, sex issues, and not in like a fist bump bro kind of manner, locker room talk, but like really getting into the things that we never get to share normally. So I just have created a Facebook group online. That's the modern evolution of it since COVID's hit. Is just like it's a Facebook group, and you can go there. You can bring up your successes, your wins. You know, oh my God, I just had this amazing experience, or the problems that you're having. And I just post articles that I find relevant to masculinity in the modern world and our sexuality in 2021 and how we have to adapt to this new world and new versions of femininity that are coming out every day.
Yeah, but the idea of like a group of men getting together and talking about their emotions, like the sensitive, emotional, and strong man is a new archetype that's been forming only maybe in the last few years, at least like if I'm watching TV and the movies, because usually you use the device of like the emotional guy to like signify weakness or as a place to start in a series of growth. And recently now we'll see maybe a stronger guy also cry on camera. But you say you've been doing these men's groups for, you said like decades.
20 years,
yeah.
more, yeah.
What was it like back then to recruit dudes for that type of a circle?
You know, I was younger, so it was how do I say this? It was a manifestation of where I was in my evolution also.
Okay.
Right. My current view of the world, view of women, view of myself 20 years ago is different than it is today. I'm much more mature, many more tools in my toolkit, stuff like that. So 20 years ago, it wasn't as profound and full spectrum as it is now. Now the version of masculinity, it was more creating a space for guys to talk about sexuality, and it was more lighthearted. And now we get to go deeper because I'm a better facilitator, and I can kind of tease out and prod to kind of get past the blockage that I see a guy having to get to the deep, rich nugget underneath better than I could 20 years ago.
It sounds like the leadership within a circle or a group space can vastly change like what you end up getting out of the group.
Oh my God, absolutely. The container that you set is so important. What's the framework? What are the agreements? You know, how safe is it for guys to let loose? Can other guys ask questions or judge or give advice or make jokes, or is it a silent talking stick style? Like, what's the exact format? It's so important. And if you do a really powerfully safe container with a facilitator who can tease out and help prompt to kind of navigate through our blockages and bringing things up, because sometimes we just dance around the point and we never get to it, right? We tell all this story and we miss the main freaking sharp nugget. So
what's crazy is we probably didn't all miss the nugget. We all thought, oh man, I can relate to that thing right there. Or I see where Joe's in pain, but no one wanted to be the first one to maybe offer some emotional support or something.
Well, there's so many different ways to do it, man.
Well, what's like a pitfall from like your earlier group leading days? If you could go 20 years back and be like, hey man, we tried some stuff here. Don't do this.
Oh, sure. Having a lack of agreements for the circle before you start it, or the hangout session, whatever you want to call it, because we also would just like go out to a restaurant or a bar and hang out and talk there too. But not having an agreement to not give unsolicited advice, not having an agreement to not discuss anything that you heard in the group with anybody outside the group later. Like, not having those agreements doesn't create the safety for us to really bring out things that are scary for us to bring out. If I bring up something about my sexual relationship with my partner and you go and blab about it to your girlfriend, like, or that like could get me in a
podcast or something like that.
It could get me in a shit ton of trouble, right? If I'm sharing something edgy or that I did wrong or I feel guilty about, you know, or I could get in a ton of trouble. It could have a lot of blowback on me. But crafting a container where you can share that stuff safely sharing something deep that you're scared to share is the first step. Can often be the first step towards healing or moving through it or to change, etc. If you can't voice that thing that you did or that's gnawing away at you, it's really hard to move past it. Mm-hmm. So even just being able to bring it up can be the first step towards shifting your life.
Yeah. And back then you're in your 20s. And if back then you were in your 30s, then go fuck yourself. But back then when you were in your 20s, what even made you want to get together with dudes to talk about this stuff in the first place?
I've had a really interesting life's history. Like I was raised by women in women's communities and women's schools, women's colleges and universities. Like it's really weird how I was just surrounded by women all the time. The high school I went to was actually part of this convent of the Sacred Heart network around the world, all these sisters. But there was 2 in the entire planet that allowed boys. And I happened to go to one of them.
How
so very
progressive
feminist.
Of them.
Yeah, well, I learned from the sisters in the convent. And then I went to the School of Education in Boston, which was 90% women. 90% of women are teachers, or 90% of teachers are women. So I was one of the 10% of people there that had penises. And I was raised by my mother and my grandmother. I just so much female influence in my life. So much. I worked in family planning, and that's so much sexual health, reproductive care for women. Again, 75, 80% women that I was working with in the workplace. So I've really learned what I'm going to say challenges and plight of women in the modern world through my entire life. And then I come to my maturity. So let's say I'm an adult finally in my 20s. I can go out.
Anything like that?
Yeah, I have a sister also. Yeah.
Okay, but no brothers and dad's not in the picture?
Right. My dad, he was a drug addict and cheated on my mom. So like she left, he was abusive. So no, not many positive male role models.
Yeah. You just got the women raising
negative male role models, abusers, got Vietnam vets who are just PTSD, like out of their minds, couldn't like get to actually meet a woman in a healthy egalitarian relationship. So I had all these versions of men that I didn't want to be like. But then in my 20s, I started to okay, now I can hang out with guys on my own terms because I'm an adult. I'm out on my own. I got my own place, stuff like that. So, made my male friends and we started hanging out and doing what was fun for us. And I really wanted to talk about women and sex and relationships and have a space where we could really hang out and not just be superficial. So it was for myself as much as it was for my friends.
And how'd you find people to join your merry band of sex talking fellas?
Oh, music. It all came down to music and dance. The communities form around music. If you jam, if you play the guitar, if you drum, if you can sit down in a jam session, instant community right there. So it happened for me through music.
Artists also can typically be a little bit more, in touch with their inner selves and all that jazz. Also doesn't hurt that the people in the arts are a little bit more sexually open. And, I feel like it's a good community to start with. I've talked about often on this podcast. I actually joined a group therapy for men several years ago, and it was men all my age because I don't have a lot of guy friends. I also was kind of raised by women in as much as I had my mom, I had my 2 sisters. I went to boarding school. I didn't have friends at all. I got bullied since I was a little kid, but the girls were nice to me. So when I did have any modicum of friendships in high school, they were women or girls. I always flocked to the female faculty members. I was more of a mama's boy than a dad's guy, but I played sports. I looked like I was supposed to be a He-Man macho person, but I cried a lot and was in touch with my feelings, and people didn't really know what to do with me. So I also related to your being raised by women, and I think there's something about that really informs a guy, that really installs that empathy gap we were trying to talk to before we got cut off. I mean, how much do you think being raised by women plays a role into how you view the world and relationships and women today?
Well, I have an understanding of the full scope or full spectrum of femininity. I understand what women are. They're very multifaceted. They contain multitudes. If I was raised by guys in locker room culture, I would have a very narrow view of what it is to be a woman. But being raised by women, I see the power and the breadth of their experience and their capacities. So I have an appreciation for it. I'm attuned to it because I've seen it. It's normal. So a lot of guys, they never see that. They just have a very, very shallow view of what it is to be a woman. And that's often cultural. I live in a Roman Catholic area, and most women here are stuck at home with the kids and they don't get to go to college. Birth control is hard to get. Sex education is almost non-existent, and abortions are illegal. So they're not empowered with education and birth control, right? So they're really kept kind of barefoot and pregnant, to use that metaphor. So they're really not empowered. Like they're in this very narrow range of how they can express themselves in life, right? Can't go off and become a rocket scientist or a neurosurgeon or something like that. Like they can't follow their passions because they're stuck at home with the damn kids and they're pregnant by 15. So understanding a woman as an equal, a human being, just that, like the same as me, has allowed me to be able to teach this perspective to other guys, to open their eyes and not just look at them as property, not just look at them as inferior or as stupid and emotional. Like these horrible cultural views that are so tried and just tired. Like they're not accurate. They're fucking false. They're wrong.
I also think that extends to a lot of things, because it's not even just like understanding someone who's not like me. It's like, it's about caring about someone who isn't me. I think if COVID taught us anything, we saw a true face of people. We saw that capital P people are selfish, that capital P people are down to do things for other people to an extent until it infringes upon me putting something over my mouth. Right. So similarly, I think there's a lot of guys who are like, they care about women, but they'll say they care about women and this and that. And like, they're down to do so many things unless it like infringes upon them coming. And then it's like, I don't know, I think I'm going to prioritize my coming first. And I think that is a cycle that I see. I think a huge thing that men are having a hard time with, on the back of your book, it actually even starts with, in the wake of Me Too. I go like, I think men are having a hard time saying no to themselves when they're hard, because to say no to yourself when you're hard is to say no to you coming. And how dare I not get to come? Because I am me. I should get to.
Well, that's like entry level 101 level male sexuality. It's very me focused. It's very orgasm focused. And there are other levels to male sexuality.
Right. But I think that's where most of men are at that 101. That they're not even thinking about something. They're not even thinking about saying no to their own desire for a greater reason.
Yeah. Well, there's problems with that first level of male sexuality, which we all go through, or start out with, you could say, which is that like there's often fear of coming too soon and not satisfying our partner enough. So there's a lot of nervousness that comes along with it. And there's a lot of not knowing where your partner's at. And is it okay for you to want what you want? And there's a lot of anxiety that occurs in that level of masculinity. But when you learn about sexual anatomy and physiology and ways to communicate with your partner about what you want and tease out of her, elicit from her what she wants, and by extension, what you don't want and what she doesn't want, then you can create a container, a space in which you can explore what you really want to explore with each other. There's an example, yes, no, maybe worksheet in the back of my book, where I've got all these lists of sexual activities that you might want to do in your life. You can call it your fuck it list or your sexual bucket list. Like maybe you want to have a threesome in your life, or you want to try anal sex, or you want to like do some romantic thing, like take a shower together, or try tantra, whatever. There's just a long list of different sexual activities. And then there's 3 columns. Yes, no, or maybe. So you fill out one of them.
There's so many.
There's so many.
I just found the page.
And this is also a free download on my website, consciouscock.com/downloads. You get the yes, no, maybe worksheet. Anyway, you fill it out. You have your partner fill it out. If you want to do that thing in your life at some point before you die, put a check in the yes column. If you don't want to, put a check in the no column. If you might want to, if certain needs were met or conditions or container or safe space was, if you had some requirements about it, then you put a check in the maybe column. She does it too. Then you compare notes and you see, what are you both a yes to? Invariably, because it's such a long list, there's going to be stuff on there that you're both a yes to. And invariably, there's going to be things on there that one of you is a yes to and the other is a maybe to. Then you get to have a fun conversation, a flirty conversation of like, oh, really? You might be interested in anal? Cool. Well, let's talk about that. What would we need in order for that to be a good experience?
And
maybe
she's going to be
slow,
like, I
watch
need to
a
be
video,
able to do anal on you first.
It might be, take it for the team. Like be able to be egalitarian about things. It builds trust. Anyway, so if you increase your sex education, learn communication tools, and then have flirty ways to have conversations about what you want, then it opens the doorway to this next level of male sexuality where you get beyond just being focused on your own orgasm. Because you can make yourself come in probably a minute by masturbating. You don't need her to do that. And with porn, guys are just watching it and coming in a minute all the time. Like, she doesn't want to be a tool, a sex toy for your pleasure. She wants you to love her and build pleasure with her and share that pleasure. Like that's a beautiful relationship right there. So you get to this other level of sexuality where the sky's the limit, anything's possible, and you've got an ally and a playmate who's a fun partner to co-create your dreams with. That's a much richer level than like 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old male sexuality.
How did you personally get above that 101? What broke you out?
Years of study, reading books on sex education and anatomy and physiology and learning about intimacy. Like, I studied it.
So even being raised by women, being surrounded by women, which we talked about earlier, you still had you still went through a phase of that me-centric sexuality?
I was very in tune to my partner and wanted to have her have as much pleasure as possible, but I didn't really know what to do. It was my first time having sex, but I told her, hey, it's my first time. I was authentic and open and honest that, like, this is my first time. I don't know how to do everything. Help me along here. Like, if something feels good, tell me. If something doesn't feel good, tell me it doesn't feel good. I'd rather shift what I'm doing than not be engaged and in tune with you. So even in my first forays into it, I was sensitive to wanting to create a beautiful experience for both of us rather than just get my rocks off. I can get my rocks off by myself.
And I don't know how much, I don't know how long you and your wife have been together. So I don't know how much like dating there was before, in the before wife times, but like, did you ever face that frustration being someone who's being conscious, who wants to be giving, where you and the other person are both like arguing over who gets to be the one to do the right? It's like, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? No, but really, what do you want? It's like oh someone's got to cave and let the other person. I think I brought this up a few weeks ago where I was like, what a gift it is to let someone make you feel good, where like otherwise you might be battling over who gets to be the giver. It's like sometimes to step back and be like, okay, I'm going to be selfish because then you get to feel good, making me feel good. What a gift that is.
That's been a process for me because I started out very giving, wanting to give a lot of pleasure. And that's been a process for me to move into what is an authentic, inherent, dominant tendency in my sexuality. And to be okay with that, with the cultural judgment that men are jerks. Yeah. Right. Like, and I live in this atmosphere that men are jerks. They take what they want. So I've had this tendency in myself, this aptitude towards sexual dominance and power, been suppressed by this cultural program and judgment of that as a negative thing. Right. If I am a powerful man who claims what he wants and owns it, then I'm a jerk. That's the cultural judgment in like feminist modern world. But the secret buried jewel in here is that often women want to feel that power. And there's this thing that I call the art of ravishment. A lot of women will tell you that their number one fantasy is they want to be ravished. Now that's different than being used.
Right.
You're not just using me as a device, as a sex toy to get your rocks off. No, you're attuned to me and you're taking me and I'm relaxing into surrender. And it's the most beautiful thing to relax into surrender and be used by a lover that you deeply trust for their pleasure. Yep. It's one of these things where we get off on our partner's joy. We get off on our partner's pleasure by them taking us, using us in their way. Yeah, turn me that way and fuck my brains out. Do what you want to do. Use me, ravish me. So I even made a little video course on it. The art of ravishment.
And you're
how do you
using
unlock the keys to that castle? Like, guys don't know how to do it.
You're using ravishment. I'm taking there is a little bit of a movement I've heard. You don't have to go deeply into it. I just want to clarify. You're using ravishment in lieu of saying like rape fantasy, as there are a lot of people who want to start calling what we think of as the rape fantasy as a ravishment fantasy, right? Or is it a separate thing to you?
They're separate things.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
Rape fantasy specifically has to do with lack of consent.
Okay,
that's what rape has by definition is.
So rape
fantasy
is a ravishment fantasy with that non-consensual role play, so to speak.
Ravishment is completely consensual.
Right.
I want you to take me, use me for your pleasure, do that thing that you loved. Yeah, maybe you fuck me in the ass or turn me over doggy style, or pull my hair, whatever the thing is that you really want to do. Yeah. With enough trust, you can relax into giving yourself to your partner let them use your body for their pleasure, and that can be an exquisite sexual experience for you.
Yeah.
But it's consensual. Rape fantasy is a fantasy about a non-consensual sex act.
Gotcha.
So they are totally different things. Now, a lot of women want to feel your power. They don't want you to be wishy-washy. They want to be ravished, at least sometimes, once in a while, at least. Like really just have you throw them up against the wall, and just like feel your desire. They want to feel something. Mm-hmm. Not just have it be a cold, mechanical, emotionless, passionless act. Like how many people are in COVID-19 pressure cooker apartments, and like it's just turned into a tradition of little quickies, like 5-minute missionary and you're done. You turn over and you go to sleep. Like so many people are going to say, yeah, that's us. We've turned into a tradition of quickies. Where's the passion? Where's the really feeling something? Where's the ravishment? And a woman can ravish a man too. I love being ravished by my partner. Oh my God. Like, yeah, honey, fuck my brains out, please. Yes. Get on that high horse and ride till like your head's in the cosmos. Yes, please. I love that. So it's a sector of sexuality that is above like baseline 101 level male sexuality. Mm-hmm. But you got to learn the tools to unlock this space of trust in her heart. And to have the container for that so that these magical realms of sexuality can have a chance to blossom.
I think part of that trust is the partner trusting that though you're going to take what you want, you are still going to stay connected and like not do something, even though you want it, you will not do it because you can tell, oh, I love fucking her in this position, but I can kind of see that she's uncomfortable, or I'm going to keep doing this sex act, but I can sense that she's now, fading out. So it's not just about taking what you want, but take what you want while staying connected
with attunement.
Staying in tune with my body. In the process,
it's about giving pleasure while taking pleasure. Right. That's what I'm talking about. Ravishment. Ravishment is not about banging her cervix repeatedly until she's sore for a week. Like that's not ravishment. All right. That's hurting her. She's not going to be like, oh my God, I love my boyfriend after that. She's going to be like, ow, you hurt me. I don't want to do that again. You want to build trust, build more trust, stay attuned, and then be authentic about your desires. So like these are the keys to the castle, keys to the kingdom, right? Magical worlds of sexual possibility unlock when you learn how to build trust and attunement and communicate with each other about what you want and what you don't want.
And like I said before, on the back of your book at the very top, it says, in the little summary section, it's like, in the wake of Me Too, what do you say to and I'll extend this to anyone. I think anyone who's trying to be a more dominant partner, I think especially in opposite sex hookups, but I think even within queer relationships, this can totally play too, because we see, at least I see, accusations of like abuse and this and that. In a lot of communities. What do you say about to the person who like wants to fulfill that ravishment fantasy, or wants to take that charge, wants to throw their partner up against the wall in a fun, consensual way, but is really nervous about not in that moment explicitly saying, I want to throw you up against the wall right now, which some would say that's a great way to do it. You could ask, but for a lot of people that would kill the mood and they no longer want to get thrown up against that wall. How do you explain that to people who are trying to navigate that right now?
I've got a roadmap.
Please.
I've got it figured out. It's not what you're going to expect. It's not what you're going to expect. Actually, I touch on it. There's a chapter about it in there. Mastering the power, wielding the power of consent is what it's called, chapter 3. But there's also a free download on my website called Boundaries and Consent, 6 Rules to transform your life. Now, you might not think that my answer is going to be boundaries and consent, but if you learn to master the skill of asking what a person wants and soliciting from them what they want to do. We're talking about consent. And when you master the skill of communicating what you want to another person in a non-pushy way, you're mastering the art of consent. It's very empowering to say to another person what you really want, but not be attached to them saying yes or no. And if they feel that it's lighthearted and they can say no and they have the space to say no, and you'll take their no and not make it mean a whole big thing about your relationship or something like that, then they feel like they can say no.
Very crucial right there.
Right. So, but there's different ways that people like to navigate consent. But if you've never taken a consent class, if you just think consent is this thing about feminists and this kind of dirty word from, then you're not going to succeed in this. Inevitably, you're going to do something that's going to cause harm. Inevitably, you're going to have a bad experience. Somebody's going to get hurt. But if you actually take a consent class, if you actually read a book on this stuff, then you realize, oh my God, it's this whole world. It's going to be empowering to my life. Anyway, there's a somewhat advanced level to consent education. I'm a consent educator. I teach consent classes where there's baseline consent education where you teach somebody only say yes to things that you're really a hell yes to. Don't say yes to things that you're a maybe to, and do not say yes to things that you're a no to. Be real, be authentic. Give people accurate information about how to navigate their world with you. If you're pretending, if you're playing a role, if you're wearing a mask, if you're trying to be somebody that you're not giving them an accurate roadmap to succeed with you. You're not going to win. They're not going to win with you. You're trying to teach people how they can win with you and solicit from them how to win with them. But there's a slightly more advanced or different way to navigate consent after you've kind of mastered that basic way to do it of the only say yes to things you're a hell yes to.
And that's this also just because we never had a good baseline that you need to overcorrect with that, which is a very cautious version of consent practice, which is good to have. It doesn't have to be your forever consent practice, but you need to go back to fundamentals. We learn how to dribble the ball before we do crossovers, right? So it's like it's good to.
That's what we're talking about,
right? We're talking about getting back to some consent.
But getting back to this example of this guy who met the woman and she wanted him to just take her, ravish her. Let's say, she really wanted to be taken and ravished, but she didn't communicate that to him. So she didn't give him the information that he needed to win with her.
But Kristopher, if I tell him when we go over to his apartment, hey, when we get there, I want you to throw me up against the wall, kind of kills the mood for me, Kristopher. I'm an Italian woman from North Jersey.
Right. Well, if it's a new relationship, you haven't built enough trust for him to necessarily feel safe ravishing you and not having you feel like he's raping you or something like that.
Wait, he doesn't have to choke me the first date?
You're right.
I'm a first date choking kind of girl. No,
I teach long-term relationship success strategies, man. I don't coach guys on dating and hookup culture. I teach long-term relationship success, but this next level or other way to do consent is to allow a conversation where you talk about how do you like to do consent. And I could be the woman and you're that guy. And you could say, well, should I ask you what I want to do? And I could say, no, actually the way I like to navigate consent is that you just do things because I trust you. And then if you do something I don't like, I'm just going to say no. You can trust me that I'll say no. And I trust you that you'll honor my no. Then there's freedom to play without asking and checking in at every intersection. But some people don't like that. Some people are like, yeah, ask me, check in once in a while. Other people are like, check in at every step of the way, especially on a first experience with each other. So there's different ways people like to navigate it. But if you check in about it first, as part of your STI conversation, you're elevator talk about okay, tell me about your sexual history, about any diseases you have. Do you have any birth control requirements or STI prevention requirements? Do you have to wear a condom? What are your needs? You should have a sex talk before you have sex with somebody the first time so that you have a chance of it going well.
Yeah.
And part of that can be how do you like to navigate consent? But you need to at least have a baseline in what consent is. Mm-hmm. Then if you're on the same page, you trust each other, you've checked in about the things, then there's this playpen that you create with each other, a playground. And you're like, oh, great, man, we can play anywhere we want to in this playground because we defined it and we created that space with agreements with each other. Mm-hmm. And people do that. They're pretty adept at it in communities where consent is a foundation. There's sex club communities, swinger communities, and play party communities that exists, for example, in San Francisco or Miami, stuff like that. And where consent is the baseline. Then you have to go show up to understand the consent conversation at the beginning. And then if anybody's not honoring other people's no's, like they get kicked out.
Yeah.
But when you establish that baseline of trust and consent, then the keys or the sky's the limit. Anything can happen. You can fulfill your greatest fantasies. Mm-hmm. Or you can participate in fulfilling someone else's greatest fantasies.
Yeah. A folly of mine, and I would say also, it's like when you're having those consent talks, like another key factor is like what's the context of that talk? Maybe don't have that talk when you are like erect and in bed together.
No, that's too late.
Yeah, don't make it hot. Well, not even for that moment. Like don't hold something you say hot in the heat in bed. You don't hold them to that. Like I've had a couple partners where we've consented to messing with each other while we're asleep by like giving, at some point in those relationships, we gave like this blanket consent for, if you want to do something to me, it was actually me. Cause like I have the ravishment fantasy. So I was like, if you want to do stuff to me while I'm asleep and like I wake up and you're in the middle of something, very much okay. Actually would be incredibly hot for me. Turns out those partners also were like, please do the same with me. If I could wake up and you're already inside me, great, cool. When we didn't have that conversation while we're fucking or while we're fooling around, or
that's not the time for it.
Yeah, you made a sober, flaccid conversation decision. All
right, there's the category header: sober, flaccid conversation decisions.
Flaccid decisions. Those are how we should do things.
Yeah, you definitely want to have. If you can do these things lighthearted. Where you're kind of playful, you're not making it too serious. You're just, I just want to have a 5-minute check-in conversation with you because I feel like, we're getting kind of flirty here. I feel like things might move in that direction. So I just want to check in with you about a few things beforehand and like only limit it to 5 minutes and then move on. Then when you get to the bedroom, oh my God, you already talked about the hard things that were important. You got them out of the way.
Yeah.
Then you can relax, and being able to relax is so essential to being able to have a really lovely sexual experience. If you're tense and nervous and anxious and worried about the thing that you should have said, but you didn't do it, you're just going to be stuck in your head. You're not going to be in your body. You're not going to be finely attuned to their body. Sure. You're going to be stuck in your head. It's not going to be as awesome as it could be.
Yeah. And how have you, I really like the brotherhood, that the Facebook group that you have that you've used to do as in person,
right? Like
circle meetings. I've had, mixed experiences. I like that I'm in this group therapy that's all dudes and dudes vaguely my age range because, as I shared earlier, I don't have a lot of guy friends. I need to have more guy friends, I am told. And so it's also cool to hear men like be opening up and being emotionally vulnerable and sharing that stuff. Alternatively, I went to something that was also very brotherhoody, but it was also a little bit more on the cult side, I feel like, of the spectrum of stuff. I can't remember what I forget if it was Happiness or the I can't remember the name of it, but it was like this big nationwide or something movement. And I go and it felt odd not being in a therapeutic environment and watching this like mixed age range group of men I would probably not otherwise interact with.
Yeah.
Open up and be vulnerable. And I think part of it was like for at least like 7 of, maybe there was 20 guys at this meeting. I went to one and then wasn't for me. Maybe at least 7 of these 20 dudes, their struggle that they were having was with porn or with like feeling like they're swiping too long on Tinder or thinking about sex too much.
Yeah, right.
How much does that come up in your brotherhood meetings?
Well, I deal more with long-term relationship stuff.
Sure.
So
for the brotherhood, is that more for men? Just so I'm understanding, is that more for men seeking stuff about long-term relationships, or is it for men who are trying to connect with other men about masculinity and all that jazz?
Oh, it's both.
Okay.
It totally is both. There's so much toxicity in us because of porn's influence in our lives and in our friends and our male friends. So many guys have a really negative impact in their lives because of porn. Sure, it's fun for them to watch and they enjoy it and they have a lot of pleasure from it, et cetera. But I'm saying that it often has a negative impact on their lives, maybe on their relationship with their girlfriend or their wife or something like that. I mean, so many guys, like they'll jerk off and come watching porn because they have the kind of visual fixation thing that's really satisfying for them about it. But then like they lose their sexual power and their girlfriend comes home and they don't ravish her. And that's sad. It's sad for the health of their relationship. It's sad for the sexual possibilities in their relationship. I mean, a different way you could flip the script on that is like, what if you could change the rules of that so that you create a relationship with your partner where she wants you to fuck her brains out and you love doing it and you're getting your rocks off and you're getting satisfied in the sexual ways in your mind that you want to be satisfied. Maybe it's visual. Maybe you want a mirror on the wall so you really see everything. You know, maybe you want to like record things so you can watch it later. What if you can create the relationship where that's possible rather than blowing off all your energy just watching porn? Then you've got a real live sex goddess that's fulfilling your fantasies rather than you just like jacking off and getting depleted and then not giving her the best that you've got to give and her feeling like, you're not really showing up.
Do you still watch porn?
A little bit.
And how do you discern when you're going to watch porn and when you feel like it's a good idea in your present state of being to utilize porn?
I love bringing porn into my relationship and watching it with my partner. It's really a turn on. It's taken it took us years to get over our judgments that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right. I had a lot of shame about that. But, through conversations and this trust that we have in our relationship, we've been able to bring it in as basically a sex toy, something to have fun with, like a sex swing. Like, let's watch some porn, or let's use a sex swing, or let's go to this like adults only place. So it can help us, especially in our COVID pressure cooker where everything's just kind of getting mundane and vanilla, to like spice things up, watch something hot together. And then, or maybe like, what we're watching on the screen, we're like, oh, let's try that position while they're doing it. And like, we just kind of like do what the actors are doing in the video. So it's really hot for our relationship. But I don't just do it. I also watch it on my own occasionally when I just really want a quick hit of sexual gratification. But the thing is, I'm not reducing my availability to her, nor am I reducing how powerfully I show up to her sexually. Mm-hmm. Like I really show up very well in my relationship and I'm working towards my dreams and getting my dreams met and her dreams and fantasies met. So like it's a tool that I'm using consciously rather than just zoning out to it as an addict every day.
Default opening browsers instead of thinking about like, I'm horny and I want to masturbate. And then like, I want to masturbate should not automatically mean I am going to watch porn. I like when you get to the point where it's like, okay, I want to masturbate now. Do I want to watch porn? Do I want to read porn? Do I just want to go fantasize? Do I, being the mindfulness, I think is that people are calling it like sex addiction. I think a lot of it is just laziness. It's like, you're choosing not to be mindful of like what you need and what you want in that moment. I love, by the way, you calling porn, treating it like a sex toy. Like, sex toy. Bring it in. We don't. It's very neutral. It's just another thing in the drawer.
Yeah, and it's great sometimes. And sometimes you're tired and you want the freaking quick hit, and it's okay. It's useful. It's very useful to have a quick orgasm. Sometimes it just changes your mood, or it helps you go to sleep, or whatever it is. Just like I just want to have a quickie and then pass out, whatever it might be. So acknowledging it consciously for its benefits and its drawbacks, and then using it, for what's going to be helpful for your life. Is much better than using it just on autopilot,
right?
Where it's hurting your relationship.
I do not enjoy the autopilot, whether or not you're watching porn or how you're having sex, or if you're defaulting into monogamy, just anything. It's like you should be mindful of the choices you make. Do you ever are in that mindfulness? Do you find yourself maybe, reflex opening a porn and then realizing, I actually don't need porn right now, and then you choose not to?
Not anymore. No, I'm pretty clear if I want it, and then I use it, and it was great.
Did you ever have that sort of thought process in your earlier years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely did. Yeah, where I was going to it on autopilot. Just like, going for the quick hit. Unconsciously, just because I was kind of tired in my life and numbed out, or I wanted to be numbed out, etc., rather than like my life is awesome and I'm creating my fantasies every day in my relationship. And this is a
Huge
toy that I want to bring in
positivity
and play with.
And like what he's doing in his life, Kristopher clearly feels like he is crushing all the things he wants to crush because I can't handle the amount of like sunshine and smiles that's coming from my screen right now. It's that New Yorker bitterness,
Dude, it's amazing. I just got to say, like, your relationship dreams are possible. No one told me that when I was younger, but I'm going to tell you, everybody who's listening right now, they are possible. Yeah. What you envision in your mind, what you want in your heart, your dreams of what you could have sexually in your relationship, they're possible with enough study and devotion and consistency, persistence, work, care. Just keep going in that direction. It doesn't matter how fast you're going. Okay. What matters is your course heading. And if you're not heading towards the relationship or sex life of your dreams, like you got to course correct.
Yeah.
And even if you're going slowly, as long as you're going in the right direction, like you're going the right way. Yeah. So learn the tools, sign on. There's so many YouTube channels now for sex education and relationship skills. I mean, the amount of resources that we have available to us to move towards what we want in our lives, our real, true, authentic dreams is just mind boggling. There's so much possible today that was not possible for our parents' generation or our grandparents' generation.
Did not have the conscious cock so readily
available.
There's no
book. That's the whole reason I wrote the book, man. Like there was no kind of like how-to manual for male sexuality in the modern world.
Well, I would say ethical ones, because I think, and it sounds like we are, on similar wavelengths, a couple decades apart, or a decade apart. Jesus, I'm aging. Just realized. No, but I feel like as a kid in college, with what my childhood and teenage and high school years were like, I think I was the wrong Google search away from ending up down a men's rights rabbit hole or ending up down the pickup artist rabbit hole. Right. I think I just like stumbled upon the right words. And so when you say do the research, do this, it's like, I think it's also very important to make sure you are going to the right resources, something that is more mindful, because I think it's also very easy for men who are desperate to try to improve themselves and improve their ways that they connect with women to end up down the wrong rabbit hole. Like I fell down the ethical slut rabbit hole, thank God, because I probably was one click away from who knows the fuck what.
Pickup artistry has so many guys studying it because there's a big lack of good information on other ways to have success with women, other versions of success with women. Historically, there hasn't been much available. There's been really woo-woo stuff, real spiritual, touchy-feely 70s kind of crystal hugging love and light things, definitely. But what I'm offering to the world with this awesome textbook, this manual, is combining modern research-based sex education with communication strategies that help you get what you really want, rather than treating a woman as an object or a girl. She's not a girl. She's a fucking woman. Like, guys, grow up. If you just want a girl, that's kind of sick and twisted. Don't you want a mature, vibrant woman who's got lots of texture and context and skill and experience in her life rather than a girl? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who wants a girl? I don't want a child.
Give me the 51-year-old version of any 21-year-old, please.
Oh my God. Yeah. Maturity is sexy. Yeah. Wisdom and experience are sexy, at least in my opinion. So yeah, there's nowadays finally some tools coming out for guys to have resources to learn how to use their sexual power in a healthy way, get what they want, and bring their power to their partner, and not be a jerk, not treat her like she's a child.
And Kristopher, for the dudes who want to not be a doormat and also don't want to be a jerk, and they want to be a more conscious cock, where can they find you, and where can they get your book?
Man, I get censored and banned on social media for my sex ed content.
It's called the Man Whore Podcast, man.
Man. Exactly. So the best way is just to go to my website, which is consciouscock.com. And then there's the download section and there's the book page there. You can get my book is an audiobook, which is awesome. If like you don't want to have the book laying around where somebody can see it, you can just listen to it in headphones and nobody knows what you're listening to. And then there's links there to get the paperback or the Kindle or PDF ebook version. Yeah, it's on Kindle. That's right. So yeah, just consciouscock.com and tons of free downloads. And guys, take an action step, like do something. Even if you're not going to download something from my website, like take a step, learn something about consent, learn about how to bring up your fantasies, learn how to learn about menstruation, like get a period tracking app on your phone and start learning about it. Like learn about what are birth control options that you can do. How can you address worries and concerns that are on her mind so that she can relax more with you? Like learn some things, like take some action.
Fantastic, man. You got like Instagram, anything like that? They should find
Yeah,
you?
all the links are on my website.
All on the website.
But you search Conscious Cock on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing your time with me and dealing with some of the technical difficulties. Well, hopefully one day, maybe we shall connect in the real worlds where streaming bandwidth is not an issue. But thanks again for chatting with us. And why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, guys, everybody, thank you for showing up and listening to this. Even just listening to this is taking a step in the right direction for you getting what you want in your life. Like listen to that inner voice inside of yourself. What do you really want? Don't just play the role that you're supposed to do. Like be authentic, become who you really want to be.
If you need something to be more conscious about, might I recommend that my birthday is coming up on June 5th. Do with that information what you will. My Amazon wish list is in the show notes. Okay, I'm never going to mention that again. I got to toss it out into the ether. That's the only way things can come back, right? I hope you enjoyed the chat with Chris Lovestone. Again, we have over a half hour of more content dropping with him tomorrow exclusively on Patreon. I just looked in the mirror for the first time today and noticed what my hair looks like. Oh gosh, why did anyone let me go outside today? That's a problem. Also, by the way, we got a new shirt on sale. We got new merch. There's a link in the show notes. It's a t-shirt that says, my pandemic OnlyFans is going very well. Thank you for asking. It's a great t-shirt for someone in your life who got a pandemic OnlyFans and it's going quite well. Yeah. Speaking of which, you can always perv out on my OnlyFans for free at onlyfans.com/callmebilly. I've recently put up quite a bit of like what the kids in the biz call boy-girl content with a very pretty friend of mine and fan of the show, Lucy Moon. Shout out to Lucy. She's very beautiful in the content. I don't ugly up the shot too much, but for now I'm just going to focus on, I got a threesome lined up next weekend and I got to start laying off some of the snacks. That's what scheduling a threesome means for me. It means laying low on the 2 a.m. bags of potato chips so I can kind of be like a clear and active partner. When I'm all gunked up on the Trader Joe's cookie dough butter, I become a very 80% hard, please ride me, I fuck you from the bottom type of guy. And I just think she deserves better than that. I don't know. Next week on the show, we've got on fellow comedian and creator Hannah Harkness. We're talking about why wrestling is sexy and going way deep into bipolar, mental illness, hypersexual mania. We'll get fucked up with her next week, but for now, everybody, stay slutty. HotMovies.com has long been an ethical and affordable place to hashtag pay for some of your porn. Now, with Hot Movies Select, customers gain access to unlimited viewings of tens of thousands of additional films from all their favorite studios for the low, low price of $24.95. Visit HotMovies.com, click Select Unlimited, and use promo code MANWHORE at checkout so they know who sent you.